Hello guys, let's move on to texturing the rock we sculpted earlier. Okay, so let me go downwards to my lowest subdivision level and then go export it. And this is gonna be my rock. Okay, so create a new folder for my rock. Okay, and then I'm gonna call this one rock low. Okay, and then I can go to the highest subdivision level, and for this guy I'm gonna go delete UV because the UV is super expensive. You know what, I'm actually gonna downwards one subdivision level. I think that doesn't really make that much difference, but my model will be much lighter to export. I don't want any UV for this guy either, so go export rock high. Sometimes you may ask that, why do we have one more level of subdivision level here if we are just gonna do subdivision level 5 to export. The thing is, even you don't have, I have a little issue there. Even you cannot export the highest resolution there. That doesn't mean that thing doesn't contribute to the lower resolution's shape. Okay, so you want to push the limit to ZBrush, but when you're exporting, you want to be sure that your package can handle it. So that's Maya here. Now the reason I need Maya to go through it a little bit is because at least I want to have a smoother edge. So let me go to my download folder. That's where I store it. Rock low. Okay, load that. And I want to make it a soft edge model. Okay, and I also want to import the high resolution one. Okay, the high resolution one will also be soft in edge. That's important if you want to bake out a smoother normal map. And then when that is done, I'm gonna go export those things. Again, just override the one I had earlier. Okay. And then in the baking process, you can also have a cage here. Okay. What you can do to create the cage is just grab the model and then use the axis, normal axis, and then drag on the n direction until everything is covered. Okay, then that can be the cage for baking. So let me save this guy export this guy as my rock cage. All right, so our models are exported. Let's go to a substance cleaner and start texturing it. So file new, and then the template will be the game engine you're looking for. Okay, and the mesh will be the low resolution one, and then just okay. And then let's go to bake textures. You want to go for a high resolution mesh and load the high resolution mesh, which is this guy. And then you also want to check on use cage, so you can load in your cage file, which is this guy. Okay, and then you can start baking it. Oftentimes with a cage, it has better chance of getting rid of artifacts. So sometimes it's important. Sometimes, for example, this kind of rock, it might not be that necessary, but just to be safe, you can create one if you wanted to. Now I have all the details baked, so I have my rock ready to be textured. I want to actually go to the viewer settings and check on shadow, so you can see some nice shadowing on it. Okay, and it's too dense. I'm gonna lower down the shadow's opacity. Okay, All right. Now let's start doing some texturing. I'm gonna go clear my layers by deleting layer 1 and then go create a new fill layer. This new fill layer will be my base color of the rock. So I'm gonna go for something. You know what? I'm gonna go brown this time. Okay, because that's how my reference looks like. Okay, darker brown. All right, and then it's not that shiny, so let me drag the roughness up a little bit. All right, so that's my basic color. Let's call this base rock base color. Okay, now let me go duplicate this guy. Control C, Control V. And then for this new duplicated one, I'm gonna change the color to something darker, okay? And then make the color also a bit warmer, okay? And this one will be the concave area's color. I'm gonna go for a smart mask, so black mask, and then I'm gonna go to shelf and use smart masks. And then the smart mask will be something that is concave related. Let's see the let's try this dust third. I think that one looks quite nicely. Drag that in. Okay. What happens is I think it's masking out the edge of the rock. So let me change the global invert on. Okay, so it's actually on the other area now. Okay, and then I can change how much do I want it at, like global balance, more or less. I actually quite like the default results, just maybe a little bit more. So now I have this very nice distribution of those two color tones. Okay, that actually feels quite nice. Let me create another layer. Control C, Control V. I actually want an even darker one for the really concave area. So let me go lower that down even more. For that one, I'm gonna delete this mask. And let's just go for this one. Occlusion one. That should be working. So the occlusion one will be occluding the really concave areas to give them darker color. Okay. And then I'm gonna select that and then do some changing, like maybe I can blur it a little bit so it's not like really that sharp. You know what? The blur doesn't really help. I think I like the sharper result. Maybe just a little bit. And then I can drag up and down the global balance to see more or less of that. Okay. And then I want to be able to break it up a little bit more. Okay. So there's something called the grunge. I think that's the one taking over that, taking care of that. So I can go see which one is controlling its distribution. I think I can do some random seed on it. Doesn't really do too much. Invert it? No, doesn't do anything either. I think that's because the texture here is kind of bad. Okay, so let's look for some grunges. I'm gonna go for something actually brighter. Maybe I can maybe try. Let's see. This guy. Okay, so it can give me some breakup there. I think the level is still too much, so I'm gonna go change the balance. maybe crank it up a little bit. Okay. Sometimes I don't quite know, what those settings are for, so I need to do some trying, which is actually quite exciting to see what they're doing. We random something there. Okay, and let's see if we can do. Oh yeah, the curvature. It's like how much the curvature will be contributing. Okay, let me do more there, and then maybe ambient occlusion. You can have more or less. All right, and I think that you also have some texture you can do on, like layer strings, like what kind of how much effect you will have on those textures. This texture 1 and texture 2. Okay. Texture 1 is super dark. I don't think it's doing anything. Texture 2 is a lot though. Maybe blur it a little bit. I don't want it to be seeing it's super blurred. Okay. Alright, let me also go create a new pen layer. Maybe I can fine tune it using my brush. To delete some of the area I don't quite like. Mostly it's the area that is frontal. Okay, I don't want it to be happening there. Alright, that looks nice. Let's move on to something more. I want a variation on my color here, some more variation on it. So let me go copy this guy and paste it again, and this time I'm gonna make it even brighter actually. Let me go delete all the masks and then add a white mask so I can see the color. So this guy I want to have a brighter color here. Okay, give it a black mask, and then I want to go for the smart masks again, but this time it's just a random distribution of that. Of course, let me drag it below my darkest area so it's not gonna override any darker area. Then I'm gonna go fend, maybe this dot soft. Okay, just to break up the color a bit more. Maybe I want something stronger. See the maybe I can use that and tweak it. Okay, this over there, and then I can tweak the mask and changing its global balance more or less, contrast. Okay, and I think its color is too much saturated. I'm gonna lower the saturation down. Okay. All right, and then of course you can try those interesting things, like you can actually have the hat go down for this guy to push some of the surface in. That way you can really have some more erosion here right in the texturing software instead of other like in ZBrush, that can really give you details like this, or even popping out, depending on what kind of effect you're looking for. I think I can have more erosion here, but I already did that in ZBrush. Not sure how much do I really need to be there. That part is having like a really not comfortable color contrast. I'm gonna even that out. Okay. Alright. Now if I want to create my own cracks, I can do that too. I just need to go create a new layer. Let's call it a crack layer. And then this new crack layer will not do color, roughness, metallic, or normal, just the hat. I'll drag the hat down, okay. And then for this layer, I can give it a black mask, and I can hand paint to bring things in, like that. Okay. Or I can use smart mask if I wanted to. I can actually go for this particle brush too, and then this is the fracture. Okay. To fracture it like that. Okay, that's gonna break it up dramatically, which is probably not what you want. You can see the interesting thing it can do for you. Broken glass, not cool. That's actually quite interesting. Oh, maybe it's too maybe it's that one is too straight. It's gonna go like that. So the fracture is actually good. Maybe I can make my brush bigger. Oh no, actually it needs to be smaller. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do here is actually go on delete this layer and then create a paint layer instead. The paint layer will be using this brush to actually paint it, but what I'm gonna paint is the hat. Okay, so only the hat going down, and then draw. And then I can go define where they are. So let me just draw them out. They will go across its entire model. So it's cracks everywhere. And then I'm gonna go give it a black mask. Let's call it crack. And then I use a normal brush to define where I want the brush, where I want those cracks. Actually, just the mode brush. So I can define, where do I want those cracks to happen, instead of everywhere across the model. Okay, just a few places I think, and I don't want it to be everywhere at all. So mostly they are not visible, and I can even make something weaker here. And here I don't quite like my darker area, so I'm gonna erase some of the things here too. Alright, so that's a little cracking where we added. Not quite impressive to me, I think, just something I try to test. I can, of course, manually like do my own crack here using the chalk brush, and then just manually draw some of the crack I like to have. Cannot just rely on the computer to do everything for you, isn't it? So some hand painted crack maybe is much more natural looking. Things are up to you to try different ways and see what you can come up with. And of course, your reference is your best friend. You want to see what's actually happening there if you have no idea what's happening over there. Okay. Alright, now if your rock is supposed to be used everywhere, I do suggest you don't give it any hardness variation, like, you know, like you want the top to have some grass on it or something like that. If you're gonna use it everywhere, right, it's not gonna be super helpful because you want to rotate and scale it, and the direction will be different. So where are you doing that even? And if you're using Unreal Engine, the good thing about it is you can create a layered material and you can paint where the mouse is right in the engine instead of having it here. If there's something else I can add, I think it will be using some real image to, you know, enrich the color more, but I think this is actually quite nice already. I don't think having an image will be much helpful, but you know, depending on the environment you're going to go for, you can of course adding things like little dust on the concave area by creating a new like dust layer. Okay, the dust layer will be having a dust color. So what kind of dust? Depending on what kind of dust you're having, maybe I think they're brighter, and then they are rough. Okay, add black mask and use the smart mask, and you can use the soft let's see, some of the concave things. Dirt dry maybe. Okay, just gonna apply that in the concave area, and of course you can control how much you want it to be by tweaking the smart mask. I'm gonna maybe blur it a little bit and then drag them down so they're just appearing in some of the smaller places, deeper places. Okay. And maybe because they are dust, right, they have thickness on it. So maybe we can drag up the hat a little bit too. So they're popping out a little bit. Anyway. Some irregularities you can do is hand paint some, you know, variation on the color, but I think I think I like the result already. So I'm gonna stop here, but you can of course experiment on everything you wanted to try. Okay, so it shouldn't stop you. You shouldn't stop at any point if you still wanted to try that. try, right? So I think that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and the next one will be how to bring it to game engine. Okay, so I'm gonna do that next.